What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fryar place, where the conversations are fire. This is our first show, and I want to thank you all for joining us. Drop a little something in the comments just to let us know that you're watching. If we have time in the latter part of the show, we're going to take some of your questions for our guest. You may have some questions after you hear his story. Before I bring our guest in today, I want to give out a couple of shout outs. I want to give a couple of shout outs. Shout outs to Alicia Way for these dope overlays. Overlays are what you see going on around me. You see all that stuff moving and I'm framed in it. Those are overlays. And Alicia Way is the one who orchestrated our overlays for our show. For a shout out for Alicia, and then a shout out to Lou Rogers, video, audio, visual. He's our videographer. Yes, he's the one that put together that intro. That was dope too, yeah. Shout out to my studio assistant. She's here next to me, my daughter, Adrienne Fryar. And please know that this broadcast is being brought to you by Ecamm, visual software made for Mac that carries your message across the world. Okay, now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's bring in today's guest. His name is Ricky C. Simmons. Yeah, I've known this man since 1980. We played ball together at the University of Nebraska. He went on to play ball as a wide receiver in the USFL. Yeah, some of you don't remember what the USFL is, but he went on to play in the USFL. And our theme for these next couple of weeks for the show is from the NFL to the prison cell, then and now. And Ricky travels the country telling his story, and his story includes bars. Not a social gathering bar, but like me, prison bars. Now, for those of you who never saw Ricky play ball, let me show you this.
Ricky Simmons. Here's a throw. And down the goes Ricky Simmons. It's a good catch, and the Huskers engage the cornerback on the left side of the field of the Colorado Buffaloes, on the right side of the field of Nebraska.
End-over-end kick coming down to Ricky Simmons. Ricky Simmons at the 1, dropped the ball, picked it up immediately. He's to the 5, to the 10, to the 20, to the 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. He's to the 50, he's to the 45, to the 40. He's to the 35, the 30, the 25, and then 20 and out of bounds.
Quarterback Mike Hohensee finds Nebraska rookie Ricky Simmons, who beats the gambling Invader defense and goes the distance, 77 yards for the touchdown. 10-7 Invaders at halftime.
Everybody welcome Ricky C. Simmons to the show. What's up, V? Now I call him V. Clyde, so you all will have to forgive us for the nicknames that we have for one another. He calls me, please don't call me Pastor Smurf. He calls me Smurf. That was my nickname in college. But V. Clyde Simmons, welcome to the show,
going
man.
on? What's going on, Irvin Fryar, a.k.a. Smurf?
Yeah, a.k.a. Smurf.
What's
that didn't even
happening?
sound right. Talking about what's going on, Irvin Fryar. You said, what's going on, Smurf?
Bert, you know what it is. How you doing, man?
I'm well, man. Thank you for joining me or being with me on our first show in the Fryar Place, man. I'm excited about what's happening in your life, what you're doing, how you're helping people. I mean, you got some stuff going on. We're going to talk about it today. But first, let's talk about this phrase that you coined. You coined a phrase that I hear you say all the time in your social media, and it says that every day that you're blessed to see, it's just another day in paradise. Get your happy on, and then you say, "Yeah." Do it for me.
Yeah,
do it for me. Go ahead and do it. Let the people hear.
It's like every day you blessed to see, it's just another day in paradise. Get your happy on. Down.
Now, where does that come from? Yeah.
Well, it comes from the fact that, man, that, our society likes to focus so much on negativity. Mm-hmm. I just like to focus on positive. I understand the adversity that's going on in the world. I'm not naive. But the thing is, I choose not to focus on that. Mm-hmm. I try to focus on the positive things in life because, I feel blessed to just still be here because I know in reality I've done enough not to be here.
Well, and there's a witness to that. We're going to show that too. Just pause for a second while we show one of the people that you've been able to encourage and pour into with regards to this attitude of being happy. Watch this.
Hey, it's your boy Ricky C. Simmons, motivational speaker. Look here, man. I got to show love to Shakari, man. We're playing a little Ricky in the dot. Hey, we about to get our happy on. Can you get your happy on?
Yeah, I can get my happy on.
Well, let me see you get your happy on.
Just like music.
I see you do a big thing. Hey, what? Hey! Hey, just remember, every day you blessed to see is just another day in paradise. And what do we do, Jakari?
Get your happy on.
Go!
Man, that's hot. that is hot.
Like to make people smile, man. I just like to see people be happy, man, because, and Irv, you see what I see. It's just a lot of negativity being promoted. And I'm just choosing not to focus on that. Even though I know it exists, I'm not, like I said, I'm not naive, but I just want people to focus more on the positive because it just makes everything better and it makes me feel good personally.
Tell and people can see these T-shirts that we have on. This is a part of the Somebody gear that is a part of what Ricky is doing, everyone. And talk about that for a minute, Ricky, with the Somebody gear. What happens with that? What are you doing with that? I know there's certain amount of dollars that go to take care of a football league. Tell everybody about that.
Well, SomebodyGear.com is basically, it was set up to help underfunded youth athletic programs. We started off at the Malone Center here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. And we're just helping them out. Every purchase that we sell, every shirt we sell, $5 go to the Malone Center. That is to help people continue to be able to participate that normally wouldn't be able to. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do this. This is basically a playoff of my documentary, which is titled Look Like Somebody. And we just took the somebody and made it something that could help others, because that's what it's all about, helping others.
That's nice. That's nice. We all should give back because it's just important when God blesses us, the Lord blesses us, and particularly when we have more than we need. That more than we need is not for us to hoard it, but it's for us to distribute it so that God blesses us and He can be a blessing through us, not just to us. So hats off to you, man.
Correct.
Somebody gear.
Yeah,
I've ordered mine. I got my shirt, man. Got a nice little thank you card. Made it feel personal to me. It really is nice what you're doing. And everybody, if you can go to somebodygear.com and order one of these T-shirts, really good material. Looks real good on me, and I'm not much of nothing. So if it looks good on me, it'll look real good on you. Let's support our brother and making sure we're able to keep that football team and that those kids are focused and in the right direction. Listen, you celebrated. See, you didn't think I was going to bring this up. You celebrated last month 12 years of sobriety. 12 years.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
Absolutely.
Tell everybody about that, because we want to get into your story, but talk about that.
Well, as of June 4th, I celebrated 12 years clean and sober. That's nothing. And Irv, you know better than anybody. I did it all. I haven't smoked cigarettes, no alcohol, no drugs, no nothing. I did splurge the other night and have a Sprite, though. I was living on the edge. But other than that, no nothing, man. Because to me, I don't care if stuff's legal or not, but just because it's legal don't mean it's good for you. And that's just my personal opinion. I mean, aspirin is legal too, but I don't recommend you take too many of them at one time.
You always have a straightforward philosophy, and you're happy now. Things are going well for you now, but like most, there have been some trying times in your life. There's a story.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's a story that you've been telling. And again, our theme for these first couple of weeks is from the NFL to the prison cell. Yes, you were in the USFL, which was a form of the NFL, so you apply to that theme. And just like me, you've had an experience that, it's life-changing. And for whatever reason, it happens. Talk about that. Let's get into that and tell everybody your story, man, because I know there's a documentary being formed or that's already formed, and we can't really show anything in it because for legality purposes. But there's a documentary being formed or put together or has been put together about Ricky's life, and that's how significant and how impactful it is and has been and will be in his life and in others who will get an opportunity to see it. So talk about that, Ricky. I'm going to give you the screen by yourself and just run everybody through your experience, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the prison experience.
Okay. Well, basically, after playing college ball in Nebraska with you, Herb, I got drafted into that USFL. And after 2 seasons in that league, I didn't know at the time, but I got introduced to a drug called cocaine. And I didn't think much of it. I was just doing what I do. And basically, I got hooked on it the first year, my rookie year. After my second season in that league, when that league folded, I was a full-blown addict, but I didn't know it. I actually got picked up and signed by the Atlanta Falcons. And before I could play one game for the Falcons, cocaine convinced me that football was getting in the way of my using. So I listened to cocaine, and I walked away from the NFL, and I ended up going from the NFL to the penitentiary 4 times. And I also went to 10 treatment centers, and I graduated 9 of them. So I made some really poor decisions, man, and it just took me to a place where, you're talking about 25 years, a quarter of a century worth of addiction. And I didn't have an on and off switch. I was all in or all out. And the only breaks I really took is when I was incarcerated or in treatment centers. And I came out of those type of settings and went right back to what I was doing. So I always try to tell people that I was a very sick person when it came to addiction. And I'm not cured now. I still have to work on this every single day, which I take a lot of pride in working on it, because to me, it's the most important thing in my life, because if I don't take care of it, everything else I'm doing in life is irrelevant.
That's a strong message, and that is 100% accurate. So I know you go to schools and you speak to the youth, you even go into prisons and you speak to those in the prisons about your experience. What advice do you give them? What are some key advices that you give or information that you give to young people, to those who are in prison, about, making sure that they don't walk down that road in terms of, any drugs, cocaine or anything like that, or even if they happen to get involved, what do they do in terms of reaching out, or who do they reach out to try to get some help?
Well, first of all, I'll say it like this, I do speak to all different age groups. And the one thing I try to emphasize to people is I'm a speaker. I'm not a pastor. I have different styles of presentations. When I'm in church, I talk like I got some sense. When I'm in elementary or high schools or universities, I have a PG rated version of my presentation. But when I go into the prisons, I'm rated R, because I have to meet everybody where they are.
It's 100 in
the
prison.
Well, if you go in there saying, talking like you're in church, it may not always go across well, especially when you're not speaking to an audience that's spiritually based.
Right.
So what I do is I try to meet everybody where they are, and I always just throw Ricky under the bus, because when I throw myself under the bus, then they got a visual of what could really happen to them, or what has happened to them. They can see that there's another side of it. You know, a lot of times we show you the gloom and doom, but we never show you the other side, which is positive and successful.
Right.
You know,
right.
a lot of people think once they go down that road, there's no way to recover. And I beg to differ. And I have to be living proof of that. That's why the clean and sober part is so important, because it's very hard to tell someone not to do something when right after you're done telling them that, you're at the bar.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just not a good look. So basically, like I say, I meet everybody where they are, you know, and then I always leave information behind, whether it's social media contacts or stuff, so people can reach out to me. I try my best to help as many people as I can, but I also remind people that my name is Ricky. I'm not Dr. Phil or nobody like that. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to help people, but my help comes with stipulations. If
Right.
you don't want to be helped, I understand. You know, I mean, look at me. Look how long it took me to get together. So if you want to do some more research / using or whatever to figure it out, that's fine. But I'm not in position to do that.
But you are an example. Better late than never. We've all had or at least I have, as well as you. We were together in college, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And I may have started that cocaine thing a little bit earlier than you did. Right around right after college, but pretty much the same time. But yeah, it's better late than never than to never get it, you know, right at all. There was something that happened to you, and as a result of that, there's something that you do now with regards to prison. Someone wrote you a letter while you were in prison, and that really triggered something remarkable to me for you or to you, and you've been doing something about that ever since, and it's been years later, and you still do it. Tell everybody about that.
Okay, well, the person you're referring to is our college coach, Tom Osborne.
Yes.
I hadn't talked to this guy for 20 plus years, and somehow he found out I was in prison, and he wrote me a paragraph, and it was a real simple paragraph, but it meant the world to me because of the timing. And what I mean by the timing is, it came at a time where I had lost everything. My mom and dad, you know, they were both school teachers, master's degrees, but they were taken away. They both were in heaven. You're talking about two people that were married 50 plus years. So I didn't have the poor me story, but I knew I always had my parents. And when I lost them, I felt like everything else was lost. And to get a letter, and the letter was simple. It said, "Dear Ricky, I know your parents believed in you. I believe in you. And upon your release, if there's anything I can do to help you, feel free to contact me." And it was signed Tom Osborne. Well, right then and there in my prison cell, I fell on my knees and I turned my life over to Christ. Immediately, my thinking started changing. And from that day on, I mean, it's three simple principles that I live by. One of them is, the first one is positive mental attitude. I call it PMA for short. Just treat people the way you want to be treated. But the key to that is, I don't expect it in return. You know, sometimes if you're nice to someone and then they're rude in return, you get offended. See, that doesn't bother me. If I'm nice to you and you're rude in return, that's on you. That ain't on me. Treating people the way you want to be treated is real simple. It doesn't cost you anything. And just being humble. At the end of the day, being humble. I like being humble because it makes me feel good, as selfish as that may sound. Second thing is, I had a plan. And my plan was real simple. You know, I wanted to become a licensed drug and alcohol counselor, and I wanted to become a speaker and go all around the country helping as many people as I can not make the same mistakes I made. And the third thing was, you needed motivation for the first two. And my motivation is haters. I feel like everybody got them. Actually, I love them. If you got some that ain't got nobody to hate on, tell them feel free to hate on me. I'm cool with that. That just inspires me to continue doing what I do.
Boy, you something else. V. Clyde Simmons. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that whole, you know, because I've been there as well, that whole prison experience and the communication or lack of communication with those that you previously or currently have a relationship with when you're going through that whole scenario, that communication is life-changing. It can be the straw that breaks the camel's back, or it can be the inspiration that you need to get back when you get out, get back together and keep things going and try to become productive again, because life just stops when you're in prison. Life stops for you. Everything stops, and you really have to start all over again when you return to society, which, you know, I understand now the recidivism when it comes to those who return back to prison, because we do hard time, and I'm not saying this to gain any type of sympathy or anything like that. I don't need anybody's sympathy. I'm a tough guy. I can tough it out myself. So just don't try to push me down. but yeah. But we do hard time while we're in prison, and when you come out, and I am still doing this now, I'm doing soft time, and it seems like I'll be doing this soft time for the rest of my life, meaning dealing with consequences or having to deal with consequences from the incarceration that affect different areas of my life and limit different areas of my life and keep me from being productive and keep me from growing and doing some of the things that normal folk are able to do. So yeah, it's important to have some type of support. And Coach Osborne, man, he is phenomenal. He was a great male role model for me when I came to college. And prior to that, growing up as a teenager, I didn't have a positive male role model. I had male role models, but they weren't positive. They weren't positive.
Right. I understand.
And he is a guy that almost, it's like Joe Paterno. He was so well loved by all of his players. Tom Osborne is synonymous with that. Tom Osborne is loved by all of us. If he called any one of us right now, no matter where we are in the country, we're coming. So
absolutely.
So yeah, that was just fun. And so you continue to write those letters to those in prison to give words of encouragement, to share, and look how that kind of just spews over. That's some of his harvest that's being manifested as he continues to do what he does as a man. You wrote a couple of books. If we can share that with everyone, you've been a busy man. I'm gonna put them up next to you. Can you see them there? The Explosion of Redemption.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 365 Days of Redemption. Talk about that. Talk about the Explosion of Redemption. What is that all about? As a matter of fact, before you start, I opened that book. I'm one of the ones who kind of skimmed through the book first, and I opened the book up. And guess what page I opened the book up to? You know exactly what I'm talking about. You were talking about me dropping that pass. Let me put me back on the screen. Let's talk about that for a minute. When I open the book, I'm reading, just skimming through. That's how I do with a book, and that really helps me to determine whether I want to read the book or not. And so I'm skimming through, looking at chapters and chapter titles and things like that. And so when I actually went back in the beginning of it, I opened it up and I kind of started reading the page, and you're telling the whole scenario about this Orange Bowl and how I dropped. Why'd you put that in the book?
Well, to be honest with you, what I was trying to show in that book, in that particular part, was even though that was a very bad thing for you at that moment.
I was devastated.
But the first person to come and pick you up, if you see the film,
V. Clyde,
was me.
Yes, V. Clyde.
Because the thing was, you were down on your knees and your head was in the ground. And I'm like, oh, no, we're not doing that. Get up. We still got a minute left. Get up, and basically that's who I am. I like lifting people up, and I know, you had all the success in the world, and we laugh about it all the time, especially when it comes to Nebraska playing days. Yeah, we were the two fastest receivers starting on the same team in the nation.
Yes,
but
sir.
As you would say, it was just fast so we can get to who can get to the safety faster.
Yep.
Because we weren't getting no pass.
Yeah, so we can get down to the safety and block. Yeah.
we doing some blocking down there. We're not really catching a lot of ball.
Right.
But no, the most important thing was I wanted you to know even then, I still wanted to lift people up.
Right.
And that book.
And you did. And you did.
Well, the Explosion of Redemption is basically how I went through everything I went through. I went from the NFL to prison, like I said, 4 times, and still was, as you spoke about earlier, I was still able to come back and still put a life together. And that book, I made it small on purpose because I wanted it to get read. A lot of times when you hand people a book that's 5 inches thick, they have to make a decision between reading your book or looking at their phone. I don't like my chances of you reading a book if it's 5 inches thick. So I kind of summarized everything and compressed everything to make it really easy to read. So say, for example, if you got a flight from New Jersey or from Philly to the Midwest or to California, before you land, you done finished this book. But it has a lot of good information, and it always has something that's going to inspire you to know, to let you know that if he can do it, which is me, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Talk to us about 365. 365
365
days of redemption. Yeah.
Of redemption.
I'm gonna put that back up there for a second. Yeah.
Okay. The 365 Days of Redemption is based on, it's like a journal style book. I give you like day one. Let's say if you get the book today, tomorrow is day one. You read a positive quote, and then you got lines there for you to journal what you're dealing with that day. And then you do tomorrow's day two. You keep doing that all the way for 365 days. Then exactly a year from now, you go back and you look over and you see the progress that you have made in that year. And this is basically just something to inspire you. I suggest people read it every morning, start your day with it, and then it kind of lays the foundation for your day.
Well, I opened it this morning, and today is the 182nd day of the year. So I went to day 182, and I read this.
Okay.
Happy, tell it, and I want you to expound on this. This is what day 182 reads. Happiness can be found in places that you least expect it, like having the ability to be grateful for the things you do have. Being humble is another way of being happy. Understanding that everybody doesn't share your point of view is huge. Be happy by simply enjoying seeing other people being happy. Ooh, what?
Well,
man, that's
basically,
that's powerful. That's powerful.
Well, see, Irv, this is how, and this is just how I see life. I choose to focus on the positive. I feel like negativity is already being covered very well by society. So when I say be happy for just the simple things, those are really important deals, because see, sometimes we force ourselves, or we convince ourselves that when I get this amount of money and I get this type of vehicle and I get this type of house and my bank account says this, then I'm good. I'm going to be happy then. Or I'm going to work till I'm such and such age, and then I'm going to retire, and I know I got check for life, then I'm going to be fishing and having a great time. Well, see, Ricky's life didn't come with a contract, and I am not guaranteed to see anything. I mean, I'm feeling blessed just as we're speaking, just to be here with you. Mm-hmm. I don't live my life like God gonna guarantee me I'm gonna live to be 100. I couldn't get him to sign no contract with me like that. Now, I believe in him, but I don't think he'll do that for me. So every day that I'm blessed to see, I'm going to focus on getting my happy on. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's 30 below wind chill factor. I don't care about none of that. Ain't got nothing to do with me. You know, I'm going to be happy because I choose to. And then, too, the fact that he woke me up, he didn't have to do that. So that was a great reason right there to be happy. You know, a lot of people study looking at what they don't have. Man, I'm too busy counting the blessings I do have to worry about the ones I don't have.
You preaching, man.
I ain't going to worry about it.
You said you're not a preacher.
No, but
you are preaching, man.
No.
You are preaching, my brother. Let me put my mic closer so you are preaching, dude. You are killing it. Yeah.
But Irv, it's just being honest, man. You know, it's being honest and telling people the truth, because, like I said, our world is kind of, in my opinion, our world is broken to a certain degree, and there's just a lot of things that don't make sense to me, and no one cares that it don't make sense to me. So I had to make sense of it myself, and I do that by every morning at 3 a.m. turning my life over to Christ and asking him for guidance each day.
Hey,
That's how I start each day at 3 a.m. with a prison mug and doing spiritual readings and asking God for guidance. Wow. See, I'm not under the illusion that Ricky's doing this.
Oh.
You know,
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. I need to give you the screen. Go on, do your thing, bro. Go. Go.
Or what I'm saying is, man, I understand where my blessings come from, and I don't take anything for granted. You know, a lot of people run around, like I say, man, like they doing this, man. You ain't doing nothing. You're fooling yourself is what you're really doing. But that's fine. They'll figure that out just like I had to. I know that my blessings come from above. So every day I get up at 3 a.m. without an alarm clock. I turn my life over to Christ. I drink coffee out of a prison mug. I mean, Herb, I'm not super rich, but I can afford a mug if I wanted one. But I feel like if I drink out of that prison mug every day, which I have for the last 12 years, it will remind me of where I got it from, and it works quite well. I really don't need to go back and get another one. So I'm really focused on trying to do the right things, man. I mean, I'm not perfect, no, but I'm trying to do better. And the one thing I've got figured out, if I ain't figured out anything, is drugs and alcohol ain't my answer to nothing. I got that part. I still got a lot of work to do, but I don't figure them two out.
Yeah. Well, first of all, when you get that contract with God, let me know so I can get one too. but how isn't it amazing that we think we know, or we think, and I say this often, we think we can see things correctly or see life correctly, but we don't see life correctly, or we don't know. And then when we find out and we finally know, now we realize we didn't know when we thought we knew, but now we know. Does that make sense? Now we can see it. And when that light comes on and when that awareness takes place, man, it's like, wow, what was I doing all of this time? Man, I was a dead man walking. I was walking in blindness. I was walking, but going nowhere. And your approach to life is so simple, so simple. There's a God who's in control, the one and only true God. And I should yield my life to him and get direction from him so that my life can be lived accordingly to what he has designed me and put me here to do and to accomplish. That's how simple life is. We make it so complicated. We go from being human beings to being human havers. As you said earlier, you were talking about, people measuring themselves based on the things that they have and what they've accomplished and what kind of house they live in and what their bank account says, how many decimal points they have in their bank account. And that is the measure of a person. That's how I gain my self-image and my self-esteem and my self-identity. But no, our self-identity comes from our Creator. Our identity lies in God. He's given us our identity. And when we come to that realization, man, life, like you said, and like you're living, life is so much better. It's so much simpler.
Oh, absolutely.
And yes, if people cannot see that the world is broken, I mean, they're broken. If they can't see the world is broken, the world is broken. The world is broken.
But see, I have another way of wording that, but it's the same thing.
Oh well, yeah.
I use a lot of humor, Irv. Okay, so just bear with me on this one. I call it being a genius. See, when you're a genius, you know everything. Can't nobody tell you nothing.
Right.
But see, if you take time to figure out, like say for example, and I'm not making light of anyone that has lost anybody, but let's just say let's use a funeral. How many funeral services have you attended where the hearse was being chased by a brink truck or a U-Haul?
Right.
I ain't had that pleasure. See, and I don't take that for granted. I understand that, hey, it is nice to have things. I get that. But that can't be the only reason why you feel good about yourself.
Right. Things don't last. Everything we see will decay and fade away. Only life lasts forever. Yeah, eternal life. Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree.
That is great, man. Listen, we are here with Ricky Simmons at the Fryar place, where the conversations have already turned to fire. It's hot up in here. Ricky is fanning the flames. Woo! It's gotten hot up in here.
That's what I do.
We're fanning the flames. Listen, if you have a question, we have some time, a little bit of time left. Yeah, we can take some questions for Ricky, my assistant. Do we have any questions? Anybody logged on? We have a couple of comments. We're going to put this screen on, Rick, so we can see the comments. But if you have any questions for Ricky, we'll be glad to take a couple of questions right now. Why don't you throw one up on the screen? Hopefully I can read it. My screen went to sleep and I can't get it. No, that just went out. What does it say? I'm gonna have give it to me. I'll read it from here. You favored it from Russell Taylor?
Yeah.
Russell Taylor. Hey, Brother Jackson, Charles Jackson, God bless you. Good to see you. If you didn't go to Nebraska, Ricky, what other schools would you have attended?
Boom! That's a good question. I don't get mad, but I was gonna be a Boomer Sooner. I mean, I was going to OU.
Come on, V. Clyde, really?
Yeah, man. Hey, it was 3 hours from home, man. Hey, look,
Well,
everybody I know
from
grew up.
Greenville, Texas,
Yeah, I'm from Greenville, Texas, man. Everybody wanted to be a Sooner, man.
I can't say Greenville like you. Greenville, Texas.
Greenville, Texas, man. You got to be from the country to understand what I'm saying. But no, I'm from Greenville, Texas, man. That's OU is 3 hours from my house, and University of Texas was 4 hours.
Wow.
Everybody that I know wanted to go to OU, and including me. But my parents weren't trying to hear that. And I'll say
why
this
was
little
that?
quick story.
Why was that?
So I'm going to share this with you. My parents were both school teachers with master's degrees. Barry Switzer came to my house speaking about things that Ricky wanted to hear about.
Okay, right.
As far as I'm going to go with that. Okay, you're going to have to read between the lines.
No, I know. Well, you don't have to tell me. I got the same pitch from a few different coaches for sure.
Right. So,
nice
Barry
thing. There was some shine to it. Some of it, some of it folded. Some of it was on rubber. Some of it was on rubber. And it was real glittery. Yeah.
Boy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But Coach Osborne showed up at my door talking about to two school teachers with master's degrees. He came in talking about education.
Wow.
My dad is a World War II veteran. He ain't a no-nonsense guy. When he pulled his pants up to his waist and said, "We going to Nebraska," she go Big Red. And the debate was over.
B. Clyde was in Nebraska. Wow.
I was up here with a big old coat on, wondering where I was because it was cold. You didn't fair weather
with the cold weather, Ricky. You didn't. You struggled with the cold weather.
Yeah, I think I was the first Nebraska football player to go out in full pads with sweatpants and sweatshirts over my pants.
I remember that. Yeah. Ricky would come out on the. Ricky was so used to the heat down in Texas. You did do that. Ricky would come out on the practice field. We have our full uniform on now. He had his uniform on, socks, his running shoes, football pants and pads and shoulder pads and jersey and a shirt up underneath his shoulder pads. And then he'd take gray sweats and put that over top of all of that.
Hey, I was in pads, but I was just covered up, man.
What you doing, Ricky? He said, "It's cold out here, man."
Hey, it's a wind chill factor that comes into play, man. This wind chill factor ain't no joke.
I remember that. Wow. You know what else I remember too, Ricky? Because I can go backwards just a little bit. We were talking about that pass I dropped in the Orange Bowl. And yes, I was redeemed. Thank God for redemption, because Jeff Smith did come around and score anyway. So the game wasn't lost because I dropped the ball. Yes, it was a factor, but the game wasn't lost. It became a non-factor once we scored. But I relived that. I have a habit of pulling up some of my failures sometimes, not necessarily for inspiration, but they haunt me. And that was the only pass I dropped that year. And that still haunts me. And it's 30 years later. It still haunts me. And when I relive that in my mind, I hear your voice. That's how I come out of it, because that's how I came out of it then. You were the first one there. Come on, man, it's all right. Get up, let's go. That's what you said. Come on, man, it's all right. Let's go, Smirk. Get up. And I got up, and we went back in the huddle, and I got myself together, and we ran the next play, and we scored. Whether it was the next play or two plays later, we scored. I did my part, and we scored. So, but yeah, I remember that, man. So God bless you. You just never know how you're going to have an impact on people. We have another question? We have another question. Oh, no, you can't put it up there. It's going to pop, yes.
I can see it. It says, "What would you tell your parents who found out?"
So who we with?
Brother Jack.
Oh, you can see it. Ricky, you can see it?
I can see it.
Okay, you read it. My screen went out for whatever reason.
Well, they just took it down, but it was basically, if
Charles Jackson?
I remember correctly, I think. Yeah, Charles Jackson.
Yes.
Read it again just because they took it down.
Okay, yeah, it only stays up there for 15 seconds. I can read it a little bit faster than you.
Yeah, I'm a little slower, man. I've been hitting the head a few times.
I got it right here. What will you tell a parent who finds out their kid is trying drugs, mainly marijuana, and says, "All kids are doing it. It'll pass"? No. It says all kids are doing. What will you tell a kid, your kid, or a kid that you found out is smoking marijuana, and that kid, when you bust them, that kid says, well, all the other kids are doing it. It's gonna pass.
I'd ask them a simple question. I would say, okay, so everybody's doing it. So if everybody go line up on top of this building right here and they jump off head first into this concrete sidewalk or parking lot, you're gonna do that too?
That's a typical parent answer. but you're right.
Yeah.
But you're right. And my parents would say, look, we're Fryars. We don't do that.
Right. And see, Irv, here's the thing too. I don't envy a parent today because, there again, this is my opinion, but by some of the things that are going on in our society, like legalization of certain drugs in certain states, is not making it easier for parents today.
Right.
I recognize that. But just because something is legal, that doesn't mean that it's always good for you.
Say that again. Say that again. Amen. Say it again.
Yeah. Just because something is legal doesn't mean that it's good for you.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of, I'm going to keep it real simple with you. Food legal too. Go eat at a buffet and just stuff yourself for about 6 hours, just nonstop eating, and see how that turn out for you. So what I'm trying to say is you can't look at legal, non-legal. That shouldn't be what you use to gauge stuff. Right. I mean, me myself, I'm so thankful that I have a life to live that I don't see the benefit. Now, I'm not saying nobody else doesn't. I'm saying I don't see the benefit of using some illegal drug or some drug that is legal just to change how I feel. I mean, if I need to use something to change how I feel, then maybe there's something I need to look at in the mirror. And that's what I had to do because I thought cocaine should be legal for a long time, and I treated it like it was legal. But there was consequences for it. And I'm just very fortunate that I survived. I mean, a lot of my friends are no longer here.
Right.
So, I look at things a little different from most people, man. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right and they're wrong. I just look at things different.
Well, it's always good to have a different perspective.
Let me say this too. I kind of like the fact now that when I drive my vehicle and I see police, I don't have to look in my rearview mirror when they pass by or if they're behind me. I don't care because I ain't doing that.
Right.
See, that's a nice luxury for me. For a long time, man, I see police, I almost panic. Oh, man, I hope they don't turn around. Oh, man, I hope they don't pull me over. Where am I going to put this stuff? So I don't have to worry about that now. I see police now, I turn my music up, get my head bob on.
but I'll tell you what, and you're right. I don't have to worry because I'm not doing anything with that regard. But for some reason, when I see a policeman, something happens inside of me. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something as a black man that stirs inside of me, and it's not. It's on the borderline of. I guess it's a concern. It's not fear, but it's a concern. There's an awareness that takes place inside of me when I see a police vehicle drive by me, or see a police vehicle in front of me or behind me, or see a cop. And it just is a real feeling that exists. And I know I'm not the only one that looks like me, that when they encounter a police officer, that happens, something happens differently inside of them. I know I'm not the only one that happens to. That's something that, man, just I guess has been developed over time with my own personal relationships or encounters, I should say, with police officers. Right. And then you see all this other stuff going on with police officers, and it's different. It's different. And you can only be a person of color, a male in particular, to be able to understand that.
Absolutely. That's a very valid point. I don't want to make light of this at all before I say what I'm about to say. But see, I understand that. And I understand that better than most, because I know for a fact when a police gets behind me, if he run my plates, it's going to take him 30 minutes to read all that. So So, so I already know that.
That's my man V. Clyde, bro. You something else.
I mean, I already know that he's gonna be defensive if he have to pull me over.
Right.
I've given him that right by the choices I've made.
Right.
So I've taken certain precautions to help make his situation easier, like my license plates. They're my initials with my jersey numbers, RCS7. That's on my license plate. That ain't for vanity. That's so when he pulled me over and he read all that stuff, he can say, well, at least he didn't steal a car because it's got his name on the license plate. I mean, I'm trying to give myself every chance I can.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
And another thing I do is, soon as they turn their lights on, I stop immediately.
Right. Right.
Because I ain't doing nothing. I don't need to drive 2 more blocks so my car can air out. I don't smoke. There ain't nothing in here. You're gonna smell vanilla. You ain't gonna smell no. You ain't gonna smell no smoke up in here. I already know that.
Vanilla.
So what I'm saying is, I try to give myself as many opportunities to leave that interaction,
right,
intact and safe.
And
because I understand. Go ahead.
And no, I'm saying, and we should make it.
Yeah,
make our experience as simple as possible, as transparent as possible. Turn your phone on though, Rick. Turn your camera on in your phone when you pull over though.
Oh yeah, well, usually, Herb, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not quick to reach for anything when they turn them lights on. And in my glove box,
you have a point there too.
There's only one piece of information in my glove box. I don't have no Kleenex in there, no napkins. I got registration, insurance, and it's all in one little pouch.
Right.
So
and that's
when
smart.
you open my glove box looks brand new. I mean, there's nothing in there but that.
Right.
And I can usually get that out before they get to my car. So it's on the dash, my hands on the steering wheel, and my windows are down, and I'm looking right at them, right in the eyes. I'm not looking at their shoes or their belt. I'm looking at them.
Right.
Look in my eyes, dude.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And I got right by my ID, I got my drug and alcohol counselor license. So they see both of them.
Just in case they need counseling.
Yeah. And sometimes when they realize who I am, if I'm in Nebraska and they give me a warning or whatever, I give them a business card. Right. Hey man, if you run into some real problems, that's what I do. In other words, I try to be as friendly and professional and respectful as I can, because I understand that the next person they stop may not be like me.
Right.
I understand that. I mean, I'm not saying it's a one-way street. I'm saying they got their guard up, and so do we.
Listen, talk about you're very loyal. You're from Greenville. We mentioned it earlier, Greenville, Texas. Greenville. How you say it? Greenville.
Greenville.
You
can't say Ville. It's Greenville.
I'm from the East Coast. We say Ville here.
Yeah,
so
well, I'm from Texas. It's Greenville.
Then you don't even say Texas all the way. I'm from Texas.
I'm Texas, man. Greenville, Texas.
Okay. I'm not going to get that right. But talk about, you're very loyal to your hometown. I mean, you're back there. I mean, there's been times I've called you and you're back in Greenville. I see you posting on Instagram and on your social media. You're back in Greenville doing things with people in Greenville. You're very loyal to your hometown. What brought that on? What brings that on?
That's a good question. It's real simple though. My parents, before they both went to heaven, they made me promise that I'd never forget where I came from. And out of respect for my parents, I go back there. And a lot of times people have actually, came up to me recently, because I go visit a lot of people that knew my parents when I'm in Greenville, because I want them to see that my parents believing in me was not in vain. So I go back basically to see a few friends of mine that I'm close with, but most of the people that I go see are people that would knew my parents. And I think it's important because I'm not hiding from my past, and I'm not trying to justify my past. I made poor choices. I mean, I understand that and I accept that, but I'm not ashamed of it, and I'm trying to turn that into a positive to where I've even spoke to the middle school in Greenville. I'm planning to go in the future to go to the high school and speak. I've spoke to to the high school football team. I mean, I try to continue to give back to Greenville because a lot of those kids are growing up in the same town I grew up in, and the opportunities are very limited. So I try to let them visually see that, hey, man, you can do some things if you make some good choices now. You can do some things later on, and I'm very proud of Greenville. I mean, a lot of people don't think much of Greenville. It's just 30 minutes east of Dallas. But no, I mean, there's more to that than, for me, there's more to Greenville than that. It's home, man.
Well, that's a good thing to be able to go back and contribute. And there are young men in particular who need to see another man like you who has made it and has had challenges, has been able to overcome those challenges and actually bring back a message of hope to those who are going to travel that journey, have yet to do it, but will do it, and everybody's going to have challenges. Everybody has issues. You can hide as much as you want to. Trouble will knock on your front door while you're at home and find you. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, trouble's outside right now in the parking lot doing push-ups right next to addiction.
Getting stronger. We got another question, man. We have a question.
Okay,
from,
come on with it.
Which one is it? The top one? Oh, this is from WMK. This is the studio.
What?
Yeah, with WMK.
Okay.
What was the scariest moment while using? What was your scariest moment while using? Did you ever have a near-death experience?
Absolutely. The scariest moment was my dad had asked me to give him a ride to the airport over at DFW. It was on a Wednesday. I'll never forget it. His flight left at like 8 in the morning. So we had to be in Dallas, which is an hour away. We had to be there at about 7 o'clock. So I drove his vehicle to take him to the airport. And he said, Ricky, I'll be back Sunday, and I need you to pick me back up, Sunday around 1 o'clock. Well, needless to say, when I dropped him off at 7 o'clock, I never made it back to Greenville. I stopped in Dallas, and I stayed in Dallas Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday morning at daybreak. I'm still going, know. And then I realized, oh man, I gotta go pick up my dad. So I was gonna run, but I had the same clothes on, so I had to run. I was gonna run back to Greenville and change clothes, take a shower, and come back and get him, And going across Lake Ray Hubbard, there was a traffic jam and like an accident, so traffic was at a standstill, and I collapsed behind the wheel. I had come to a complete stop. My foot was on the brake.
Right.
The vehicle was in drive, but I fell out. I collapsed.
Wow.
And that was on a Sunday around 10 in the morning, and I woke up Tuesday in Rylett's Medical Center, and people were in the room that I hadn't seen in forever. I mean, it was like 2 police officers was in there. There was a fireman in there. There was all kind of doctors. Both my parents was there, and a girl that I dated in high school that hadn't spoke to me for decades. So I guess they thought, I mean, and I heard the whispers when I was coming to. It was like, he's coming out of the coma. He's coming out of the coma. I got IVs running through my arm. Wow. And everybody thought I was gone, man. And, me being V. Clyde, my response was, coma? Man, I've been asleep. Take the IV.
I hadn't gotten any sleep for 4 days. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been up for 4 days. So what I'm trying to say is that, when even that didn't stop me, but that was probably the scariest moment.
Wow.
Big shout out to WMK too.
WMK, thank you for the question. Wow, that's just, that lets you know how strong these kinds of drugs, particularly cocaine, heroin, those kinds of drugs are, that even when you went through something like that, that man, it didn't stop you. It didn't keep you from going back. I had a similar, not similar, but I did have an experience where I was smoking cocaine, and this was the last time I touched cocaine. I was smoking it, and anybody who knows anything about freebasing, I was getting high. I was going up, and it seemed like I didn't stop. There was no ceiling. It never plateaued, and I felt myself losing control of my body. My body started swaying by itself, and I couldn't stop it. And I was sitting in a room, but I was swaying, and I couldn't stop it. And I believe, well, I know now it was the grace of God, but back then I thought it was because I had a strong mind. So I sat and I focused on trying to get myself together and control myself. But when that swaying finally ceased, that's when I realized, man, I was out of control. That last hit I took really took me to a place where I almost couldn't come back from. And it scared me.
Right.
It scared me to death or not to death because I'm still alive, but it scared me to stop because I was thinking to myself, you know what? If I had died, my wife at the time, my kids, what that would have done to them, finding me in a hotel room somewhere overdosed, how that would have devastated them, and how it would have had impact on their life, or the impact it would have had on their life moving forward would not be positive. And I'm like, man, you got to get yourself together. I didn't go get help. Matter of fact, I'm talking to you. This is the first time anybody's heard this publicly. My daughter sitting here next to me is the first time she's heard that. But I didn't go get help from anybody. I just stopped, and I relied on the Lord's guidance and His keeping power to keep me from going back. Now, did I want to or have a desire the following months or even a year later to pick up again? Yes, I did. I was triggered at that point in my life. I was triggered to drugs by negative emotional experiences. So it was more of an emotional outlet for me to escape. It was an escapism for me. So I just tried to do the best that I could to deal with any of the negativity that came that would trigger that. When I started feeling like I wanted to go pick up, I would go do something, whether it was go fishing. I had a boat back then too, man. I used to go fishing in the Everglades. I missed that. Go fishing or go bowling or go to just do something. Don't sit and allow it to consume you. And I was able to, that was years and years and years and years ago, but I was able to overcome that. But yes, it stopped me. So I think you were a little more hard-headed than I was.
Oh, absolutely. I was just getting ready to say that, and I'm glad you said it before I did, because I'm definitely going to see. I'm sicker than you when it came to that. I mean,
you sicker than me?
I wasn't trying to stop. Okay, I was going to die smoking cocaine. All right.
So you had made up your mind you're going to die smoking cocaine.
Yeah. I'm going to smoke cocaine till God say different. And what saved me was that penitentiary.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I mean, once you start seeing Santa Claus and all them pass by 2 and 3 times, it changed. And then that last time when I knew there was nobody else there, mom and dad are in heaven. I mean,
right.
I wasn't. I like to tell people I wasn't suicidal. I might have been homicidal, but I wasn't suicidal. I was like, man. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, man, what am I going to do? Whenever I do get out of here. So that kind of really, really changed things for me. It really did, because I just didn't see me ever not getting high. I never planned that. But then too, like I said, I got that letter. I turned my life over to Christ, and Christ did a miracle in my life, and He still is. And that's why I'm trying to pay it forward as much as I can, as often as I can. Wherever I can. Right.
Well, Ricky, you have purpose. It's obvious that you have purpose, and I guess I don't want to say this for you, I guess your time in prison was necessary and a good thing for you, because it kept you away from the drugs that actually led to your incarceration. So that turned out to be a good thing for you. So that's a blessing, and we thank you for sharing your story and being so open and honest. Where can people find you? I'm going to put this up. Where can people find you on social media? I got at Ricky C. Simmons up underneath you right now.
Yeah,
where can people find you on social media?
On Facebook, I have at Ricky C. Simmons is a public figure page that I try to push people toward, because my personal page is at Ricky Simmons, but it's maxed out or close to maxed out on people that can friend me. So that's why I create the public figure page. And then on Instagram at Ricky C. Simmons. and I do some Twitter, and it's the same at Ricky C. Simmons. And basically, like I say, I try to make myself available for people because I think it's important that you can actually reach out to someone, especially when you're dealing with, let's say, addiction. You know, that's not an easy thing to admit to
Right.
or to reach out to people for help because people are so afraid of being judged. See, I suffer from a disease called high self-esteem, so I don't mind telling people about my problems because they're not going to affect how I feel about me. You know, as long as I put God in front of everything, I mean, I'm okay. I mean, like I said, my self-esteem is in check. But I try to help people that may be having issues with that so that they'll know that they won't be judged. You know what I mean? Because that's God's job, not Ricky's job. I'm here to try to help, maybe have you look at things a little different. And also, I like for people to believe in themselves.
Right.
Because once you believe in yourself, then you open yourself up to, to be helped.
Well, you got a great story, man, and thank you for being with us today. We are out of time. I wish we could talk for another hour because I could talk to you all day, man. Just hang in there with us.
Well, but see, Irv, let me say this before you go.
Oh, no.
You my brother for life. You my brother for life. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, and you got my number, so you can call and talk to me anytime, just like I will call and talk to you.
All
So
right.
I'm just honored, man, that I'm proud of what you're doing with this show. I'm extremely proud to be your first guest, man, and I just want you to know that. It means the world to me, and I'll never forget that. And, man, we just brothers for life. Never forget that.
Well, I appreciate you, and I knew this would be a good interview. I knew it would be a good show. That's why I called my man, Ricky C. Simmons. V. Clyde.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So we, from the fans, from those who are watching, we're going to wish the best in everything for you and everything that you're doing from this
Absolutely.
moment forward, and just go out and reach as many
Thank you.
people as you can and get your happy on. Hold on, stay there, Ricky, until I'm going to sign off. You're going to hear us go off. I'm going to come right back to you off
Okay.
live.
Sounds
when we
like a
get
plan.
out of the show. Okay, but thank you,
That's a plan.
and thank all the people. We
Thank
want to
you.
thank all the people for joining us today. We thank you for coming in and your comments and your questions. That's going to conclude our show for today. Amen. I want to thank all of our guests, or actually the comments, and thank our guest, Ricky Simmons, for being with us. We're going to move forward and close this thing out. We're going to be back next week, same place, same time. Again, shout out to Alicia Way for our dope overlays. That's how the young folks say it, dope overlays. Shout out to Lou Rogers and Vision Audio Visual, our videographer. Shout out to my in-studio assistant, my daughter, Adrian Fryar. Remember, this broadcast was made possible by Ecamm, virtual software made for Mac that carries your message across the world. We'll be back next week, as I said earlier, same time, same place, with our next week's guest, Tony Collins, Pro Bowl running back for the New England Patriots. Yeah, my name is Irving Fryar, and thanks for joining me at the Fryar Place, where the conversations are fire. We'll see you next week.